Greetings, Ravens. Cleric here. So I was invited by Black Soup to get an early look at My.Games Robot Wars Frontiers. Greetings from Mini Future Cleric here. I was doing a whole bit in this video where I was like purposely mispronouncing the name of the game. Instead of being War Robots, I kept saying Robot Wars. And it was going to be a whole shtick I was doing throughout the video and talk about the end. The problem is, after I watched the edit, it looked absolutely terrible. And I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. So I re-recorded this video. And because I had mispronounced it so many times on purpose, I began mispronouncing it on accident. So after realizing on my recording again that I had quite a few times mispronounced it once again, I went back to some of my original takes, and instead, from now on, the rest of the video, whenever I mispronounce the name, you're going to see in giant bold letters on the screen, this. So yes, I do know I'm mispronouncing it. I even have a description of the video. I am so sorry, Black Soup. I'm so sorry, My.Games. It was supposed to be a whole thing, and I understood it, but yeah, I really goofed this one up. This is what I get for trying to put a little extra effort into the videos, because I'm apparently terrible at it. So goodbye from Future Cleric. I hope you enjoy the video. I got access to an early preview of the game, and they thought since I enjoyed Armored Core that I would like their game, and so I should give it a try. So I did. And since I love Armored Core so much, and I have essentially this entire channel dedicated to my all-time favorite series, I figured let's ask and answer this question. Is this game an Armored Core-like? First off, I wanted to say that I have not been paid or compensated in any way for this. Everything I'm about to share with you and say are completely my own thoughts and opinions, and that's it, and they weren't influenced in any way. I've never really felt the need to read one of those out before, but since I'm doing like a preview of a game that I'm not normally familiar with, I probably should do something like that. I just thought it was a good idea. I've never been paid or compensated to say anything for any of my videos, period. Other than the funny HelloFresh video I did where I did the HelloFresh sponsorship and made a HelloFresh themed build in Armored Core. I'll put a link in the description so you can look at that. That was a horrible AC, but somehow managed to win in ranked. It was insane. But yeah, so this is all my own thoughts and opinions on the game. On the preview I got a chance to be a part of and see. But if you don't mind, if you like more of this, potentially I might do more Armored Core like videos, who knows. I actually have access to a game here pretty soon that is very much an Armored Core like, and yeah, I might do more videos like this in the future. So if you don't mind, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and it really does help me out. All right, without further ado, on to the game preview.
Battle contract found. Prepare to warp. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Warp activating.
Now, as far as what Robot Wars Frontiers is, it is created by My.Games and is an online free-to-play team objective-based tactical mech action game. I know that's a lot of the adjectives. I threw it all in there just so you have an idea of what it was. And it's available, or at least will be available on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and also Xbox One. The game is currently in early access. You purchase one of the Pioneer packs, but the game is going to be fully released on March 4th, which should be tomorrow or the day after this video comes out. As stated before, I was invited along with some other content creators, and whoa. Yeah, I gotta say, being in a Discord VC with these guys was not on my bingo card for like this year or literally ever. Like, those guys are huge, and I'm super tiny by comparison. We didn't really get to talk. Anywho, the preview event let us get an early preview version of the game on Steam and do some PvP matches. Well, a few PvP matches. Well, okay, a couple. We got a couple PvP matches in. There were some matchmaking issues, but that isn't really important right now. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we all joined a Discord, and they talked about the game for a few minutes, kind of like a keynote speech kind of thing, kind of go over some of the basics, their overviews of the point of the game, why they designed it the way they designed it, and kind of the idea of the game. Then they asked us to boot up the game, and they sent us all some in-game currency, upped the levels of our accounts, and gave us access to more parts in the game. Now, this is where we were supposed to select a few mechs, grab a few things, and get into some matches, except little did they know, I had already booted up the game before I even joined the Discord, and I'd already been sent the currency, and I spent the entire lead-up time, the entire speech part, buying and customizing my mech to become the ultimate killing machine. It ended up being terrible. and not really doing too hot. I kind of made some mistakes probably because I wasn't listening to the start. Anyways, we broke up into squads and had our first run of PvP. Oh, wait, hold up. I just realized I skipped a few things here. Let's go back. So the developer suggested skipping the tutorial so we could get into the matches. But because I had gotten to the game earlier than I was probably really expected to, I actually had to go through the tutorial. And that's when I found this awesome beam weapon that wrecked everything. And when I went to go check what it was, I found out that it was an uncommon part. And yes, that's one of the things about this game. There are rarity of parts in the shop and in the battle pass. Well, the premium battle pass. Well, okay, so let's get that out of the way. The game has multiple different currencies, something if you've played any different kind of mobile games or free-to-play games, a lot of different MMOs or RPGs, there's this ever-increasing trend of the inclusion of microtransactions in the form of multiple currencies, which the game has a lot of. And there's obviously more available to in the premium battle pass. There's also the free battle pass, but obviously the premium one that costs money also gives you extra on top of that. And you don't have to purchase these things. The microtransactions are designed to make it easier or take less time to garner or purchase certain things to bloat out your build. As I mentioned before, I bought a whole bunch of things. I'll talk about it in a minute. Didn't help that much. So yes, it is multiple currencies. You can buy currency, you can buy battle pass, you can buy direct parts. Those things are in the shop. It's pretty standard fare for most free-to-play games like this is. This is also free to play. With all the currency I got for the test, I went through the shop and I picked up every rare and uncommon part I could find. I never found anything above rare, but I would imagine they probably have things that go above rare and rarity, at least I would think so. I went to the workshop and I assembled my own mech, which is in the game. And by the way, mechs in this game are just called robots. Kind of makes sense given the fact, you know, this is Robot Wars, so sure, just robots. I slapped as many greens and blues into a single mech I could find. And then I found it wouldn't work because I didn't have enough energy. So the way this game works, you have a leg part, or in this game it's called a chassis. It is labeled in this game and it dictates two things. You have your max carry weight and your max energy capacity. All their parts you equip will have a weight as well, and some also require energy and some more than others, and a couple not at all. Your robot frame, or how your mech pieces, consists of a chassis, or your legs, as I mentioned before, a torso, and 2 shoulders. And depending on your overall setup, kind of dictates the weapon slots you have available to. Some allow any weapon of any kind to be slotted. Some only allow light weapons, from like missiles to pulse guns to Tesla coils to chain guns and more. There's supply gear and cycle gear that have a varying degree of options, from shields to barriers. To recharge effects, to temporary infinite ammo. That's the one I was using, it was kind of fun. To a giant death beam from the sky. Yeah, I did that one a few times in this. And then also like a standalone deployable turret. Once you have the loadout you want, you can place it in your hangar, and your hangar consists of 6 hangar slots, and that you will take into your match. And keep that in mind, if you want to use the same part on more than one of your robots, you have to purchase more of the same part in the workshop and have it available to you in order to assemble multiple mechs using the same part. There's no free mix and matching. If you have 3 mechs that have the same part, you have to have at least 3 of those parts. So once you get into your match, your first robot is what you start with, and that is where things start to go wrong for me. I probably missed out on this part of the explanation again because I was trying to build the ultimate death machine that totally wasn't. But since I stripped the parts out from other robots, my hangar only had 4 robots in it. And when the match started, well...
God, down.
The way the game works, once you're out of mechs, well, you're just out. And you get to spectate your team while you can no longer contribute or help them win for the remainder of the match. So yeah, don't do what I did and come in short-handed because you stripped all your mechs and didn't know that's how it worked. The game definitely wants you to work together as a team. Though there is a chance for some good individual play, team tactics is definitely where this game shines. It is designed around team-based play. The better you work as a team, the more likely you are to come out ahead, at least especially in combats in this game. Now, as far as controlling your mech goes, the game very much feels like, I'll call it a sped up Mech Warrior. If you're at all familiar with the Mech Warrior series, we kind of have the rev up, rev down style of acceleration or speed. It has kind of a version of that, even with a kind of a small quick boost and slightly tighter and faster changes of direction and aiming and a jump boost. Mech Warrior fans, I think, will adapt to this extremely quickly. If you're not familiar with Mech Warrior or how the mechanics of the movement work in that game, it may take a little bit of getting used to. The inertia and speed physics, the way they work, are not very direct or very tight and require some forethought in what you want to do to make sure you don't get yourself in a really bad spot. Aiming and turning is much faster in this game compared to the Mech Warrior series, but your legs still have to turn to match where you're aiming to eventually move that direction. There's a couple times it was kind of funny where my legs were all twisted and trying to catch up to where I was. Now for the weapons. All your regular weapons fire on the same primary fire. Some you could probably see similar if you did the all fire all button in Mech Warrior, and they each have their own unique fire weight and reloading time. Your supply and cycle gear have their own cooldowns, but can have major impacts. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, just look at this orbital laser again. The weapons, for the most part, feel very Mech Warrior-esque, with the exception of like the supply and cycle gears, which I think are kind of more reminiscent of the Titanfall series, specifically Titanfall 2. If you ever played or seen those games, especially the way the laser core works, it's very similar to how this laser works. The death beam, as I like to call it, works pretty well. You may have noticed in my desk that the robots I took out, a robot is destroyed if any one part gets destroyed. So if you lose a shoulder, you die. If you lose the other shoulder, you die. If you lose your legs, you die. If you lose your core, you obviously die. So your shoulders tend to have the least amount of health, at least that's what I found in the game. And so, but they also tend to be the hardest hit because you twist and turn, and also the smallest. So this is also very reminiscent of Mech Warrior, where Mech Warrior you can take a mech out by taking out certain parts. This game's the same. You take out certain parts of the robot dies. The match type we played was called Warp Gate, which essentially is trying to maintain control of as many capture points as possible, and in those capture points you actually can warp into those to get closer into the action. It's a game that you've probably seen in a variety of games, and there are more modes in there, but we didn't get to try them. Unfortunately, this was during my lunch hour. I was actually working from home that day. For those who don't know, I have 2 jobs, I'm married, and have 3 kids. I don't have a whole lot of time, which is why I only do a video and a stream once a week. So I was actually working from home that day, and I actually did this during my lunch hour while I was working from home. And we did try earlier to get another matchmaking after the first one was done. The problem is the second match, we ended up getting matched up with bots instead of other players. There was a whole thing with number of players that were in your team versus not, and it kind of just messed up the matchmaking. And eventually we got things loaded up again, and we got into another match, but I didn't get to finish it properly. Some other things happened, and things just didn't work out very well. Looking through the menu and looking at the screen, what's on there anyways, there is some kind of league or ranking system where you can achieve a higher rank. Not sure what wait, what is, okay, I'm not even gonna pretend to try to pronounce that. It's on the screen. I'm so butchering how this is pronounced. Anyways, and that is the game in a nutshell. So the question is, how simple is the Armored Core? Honestly, not very much at all. Outside of the mechs being involved, and you can have some customization and some painting options, the overall design and systems are way too far apart from Armored Core, and a much more apt comparison would very much be Mech Warrior, with a little bit of Titanfall 2 flair kind of mixed in there. So yeah, that's pretty much this game in a nutshell. Now, there you have it. Robot Wars Frontier. It's not Armored Core-like, but if you're a fan of Mech Warrior or the Titanfall franchise, and maybe we're checking out tomorrow on March 4th. And the best part is, it is free to play. So if you it ends up not being for you, you're not out anything. So can't hurt to try a game for a little bit, see if you like it. If you don't, you're not out anything. That's it. I'll probably doing, like I said, more of these soon. The whole Armored Core-like thing, but maybe not. All depends on how my family schedule ends up going, my work schedule ends up going. As I said, I'm a very busy guy. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, My.Games and Black Suit, for the opportunity to get to play the game, and also the chance to run to these guys, which is just crazy. Again, if you don't mind, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It is free, and it really does help me out. Thank you all again. I know I said thank you a million times now, but I do really appreciate you spending your genuine time on this. It just floors me that this is even a thing I get to do. All right, thank you all so much for your time. This is Cleric, signing off.